Dames en here, die akademiese prosesie sal binnekort inbeweeg. U word versoek om asseblief op te staan.
Bomma le bontate, molokoloko wa dirutegi o tla tsena mo nakong e kopana. Le kgopelwa ho ema. Ladies and gentlemen, the academic procession will enter shortly. You're kindly requested to stand.
By the power vested in me, I hereby constitute this assembly as a legal congregation of the University of Pretoria. During this assembly, degrees with all the associated rights and privileges will be conferred on the candidates whose names appear in the program. Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we request you to join us in silent prayer or meditation to give thanks for the achievements of our students. Thank you. I'm Loretta Ferris. I'm the Vice Principal Academic at the University of Pretoria, and it is my honor to welcome everyone here this morning. I would like to acknowledge in particular our recipient of an honorary doctorate, Ms. Zanele Mbeke, the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, Professor Thomas, the Deputy Dean Research, Professor Pikarai, and the Deputy Dean Teaching and Learning, Professor Mokumane. I would also like to acknowledge the Deputy Director, Student Recruitment and Enrollment at the University of Pretoria, and then all chairpersons of schools, all heads of departments, all directors, emeriti, and honorary professors, as well as all of our academic staff and their spouses or partners. I also want to acknowledge the representative of the SRC, Tumelo Wabane, who will present the SRC Academic Honorary Colors. And then, of course, to everyone here this morning on whom degrees will be conferred this morning. Also, to the families, the spouses, and all of the other friends who are joining our graduates this morning. And then finally, any dignitaries who we may not be aware of. I now request the Dean to introduce to me the candidate for the honorary doctorate.
Madam Vice Principal, I have the honor of introducing to you Zanele Mbeki for the conferment of the degree Doctor of Philosophy honoris causa. Mrs. Mbeki is the founder of the WDB Trust, which is the majority shareholder in a women's investment company, WDB Investment Holdings, whose role is to promote women business leaders and create revenue streams to support the Trust's programs. Trust funds mainly support microfinance for women in under-resourced rural areas, link them to development resources, and provide socioeconomic linkages and training. The Trust aims to undertake gender research and documentation for policy formation. In addition to being the founder and patron of the WDB Trust and its investment arm, Mrs. Mbeki is the founder and patron of SAWID, South African Women in Dialogue, which is now an independent public benefit trust pursuing the same goals. She is a retired trustee and patron of Kagiso Trust and is also the founder and lifetime member of the IWFSA. She has received the International Women's Forum's Women Who Make a Difference Award in Atlanta, the United States, the Ellen Kuzwayo Council Award at the University of Johannesburg, the Kagiso Trust Lifetime Achievement Award, the WDB Investment Holdings Lifetime Achievement Award, and the WEF Crystal Award for Social Entrepreneurship. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the honorary doctorate on the candidate.
That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy honoris causa on the candidate Zanele Mbeki. I have the honor of requesting Zanele Mbeki to address the Assembly.
Greetings. I'm glad that I brought my written text with me. At my age, I've come to realize that if I don't write it down, I'll forget what I was going to say. In fact, I'm starting to think that I'll need to start putting Post-its on myself just to remind me what day it is. Recently, I attended an event. An elderly gentleman, oh, I've got some water. Thank you. I say, recently I attended an event where an elderly gentleman was to address us. Midstream, he stopped for a long minute. When he came back to talk, he had changed the subject. I thought, because of my age, I thought that he had forgotten his line of thought. Clearly, in my early career, I must have shared a lot of my experiences with my workmates, because a colleague who describes herself as my protege recalls one story which struck a chord with her. Actually, I remember the episode as if it was yesterday. After high school, I studied social work at the University of the Witwatersrand as a day student while living at home with my parents in Alexandra Township. To qualify as a professional social worker, one needed to have practiced with children's services, people with disabilities, and patients in hospitals. The latter was called medical social work. The social work role in the ward was to receive families on admission, take their stories, visit their homes to record the living conditions. I did all that and got to know the desperate poverty conditions experienced by all Black people in the townships. Almost all children who were admitted to Ward 13 and 14 suffered from extreme malnutrition, where their hair became reddish, they had extended tummies, and thin, spindly limbs. They were weak and no longer able to suck from a bottle. This was called kwashiorkor and marasmus. The doctors and nurses would feed their children with intravenous drips loaded with good nutrition, and within weeks, it would be as if someone had pulled them out of a midnight gloom into the light. I can remember their bouncy, playful, and happy, carefree selves after the treatment. My heart would light up for a moment and then sink in despair. After the bright moment, it sank because, sadly, though they were ready to go back home, they would unfortunately be returning to exactly the same circumstances that brought them to the hospital in the first place. We would be lucky if they returned as patients in the future, because their fate inevitably would be death, adding to the child graves like in Timbaza. This one step forward, two steps back reality resembled and still does, the plight of many of our people and children: poverty, food and health insecurity, and deteriorating personal and economic well-being. Though there was little I could do at that time, and for those challenges, I set my heart on alleviating as many of the root causes of these circumstances as possible, starting where I was with what I had. This struck a chord with Mpumi because though we come from different generations, the underlying challenges of 1963 sadly have come back. On Thursday, I watched a TV program with a doctor whose name, I think, who founded Ilifa Labantwan. And she was reporting on 3 provinces that have kwashiorkor. That's KZN, Limpopo, and a 3rd one. And passionately wanting to see them these conditions effectively addressed, speaks to the core of who we are. And this is the heart of our mission with Mpumi, as Black women, even from different generations. It is the culmination of these sort of stories and experiences over the course of my life, and the work that followed, which have contributed to the build-up to this very moment, of which I am very grateful. To the University of Pretoria, thank you for recognizing the work we have done, and for believing in what we can still achieve together. A lot still remains to be done to address these challenges and to leave a lasting impact that improves the well-being of its people across the country. Despite all government and private sector efforts and initiatives, the challenges I've narrated in my story continue to exist. When we set up WDB Trust, it was to address persisting blight of poverty that continues to plague our townships and rural communities. It gives me great hope to know that South Africa is full of brilliant young minds, full of potential, and ready to make a positive change in their families and communities, given the necessary opportunities. My life has dedicated to changing the lives of women. Why women? At some point, President Mandela said words to the effect that education is the main route out of poverty. However, knowing what I had seen at Baragwanath, Ward 13 and 14, where children generally died before the age of 18 months, even those would likely be the ones with stunted brains and therefore not able to get full benefit of their education. I chose to direct my support to primarily women because mothers are responsible for nurturing children to live beyond 18 months and not die. These women are strong, resourceful, and determined. They represent the strength and untapped potential of our nation. They rise, holding their families up, the whole communities together. They are not just survivors of poverty and hardship. They are innovators, leaders, and change makers in their own right. With more targeted, sustainable, and holistic support, these women can transform nations. With even the smallest opportunities, seed grants, access to training, or simply the validation of their efforts, these mothers create ripples of change that transform not just their own lives, but the lives of their families and communities. Our work is far from done. And to that end, I would like us to consider thoughts about Professor Muhammad Yunus, who I've emulated. Is a renowned economist who started financial inclusion through microfinance for poor women. He's a Nobel laureate and social activist. He's known for pioneering the concept of social business, Social business reaches much more people than individual microfinance, social business reimagines the traditionally capitalist, profit-based, and personal wealth accumulation nature of business into one that solves diverse social problems whilst being financially sustainable. Simply put, Professor Eunice puts people at the center of business and not profit. Social business responds to our many societal, economical, environmental, health, financial, technological, and other challenges that our people continue to face and struggle with. With all the great work and inspiring stories of many transformed lives along the way, it is disconcerting that today, in 2025, we are still living a nightmare haunted by familiar, persistent challenges. That is unemployment, food insecurity, gender-based violence, poverty, and environmental degradation. These are not just policy issues or academic debates. They are lived realities of millions of our people. How is it that in a nation so full of potential and resources, so many of our people are left behind? We live in a country that boasts some of the best universities on the continent, institutions that produce groundbreaking research and world-class leaders, and yet the knowledge we generate fails to address the most pressing issues facing our communities. We celebrate the rise of young entrepreneurs and innovators, yet poverty has grown, and the divide between the haves and have-nots has widened. This is a stark contradiction, and it demands urgent reflection that leads to action. There is no room for complacency. It is a time for bold action, for courageous leadership, and for a new way of thinking. It is a time to reimagine how we do business, how we empower communities, and how we create sustainable change. Optimizing the resources we have at hand, embracing businesses that prioritize people over personal accumulation, seeking solutions for the root causes of our challenges, and driven by a vision of shared prosperity. Achieving this is not an idealistic dream, it is a clear and present imperative. We must address food insecurity. We must confront gender-based violence with urgency and determination. We must create sustainable ways for people to generate income. Temporary relief like SASSA measures are not enough. And we must care for our environment. The land, water, and natural resources that we depend on are not finite. To humanity as a whole and to our institutions of higher learning, we must collectively support farmers and agricultural enterprises of all kinds. Micro, small and large, the young and the old, those near and far, ensuring that we feed and equip our people so they can fend for themselves and empower our communities to thrive. We must adopt the ABCD approach to development, which is asset-based community development, recognizing that all communities have skills that they can utilize to pull themselves out of poverty. To the young people present with us today. You are the answer. Let this be a mantra that you adopt, live up to, and bring those around you along while at it. You are the architects of the South Africa we dream of and the Africa we want. Your ideas, your courage, and your determination are what this nation needs. Do not let the enormity of these challenges discourage you. Instead, see them as opportunities to lead, to innovate, and to create a future where dignity and equality are within reach for all. Take it upon yourselves to step up as change makers, as disruptors, as leaders who are not afraid to take risks for the greater good. Ask yourselves, why are we still here? And how do we move forward? To this university, I extend my deepest gratitude. I remain committed to realizing of and the call to the South Africa and Africa, where every person has a chance to thrive. Let this moment inspire us to act with purpose, conviction, and unity. Together, we can make remarkable strides in the rewriting of the story of Africa and her people. Not one defined by struggle, but by innovation and the humanity of her people. Let us all dream bigger, work harder, and create an Africa that is food secure, environmentally sustainable, and prosperous for generations to come. The power lies with us all. The greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mbeki. Thank you for a life that was dedicated to social justice and that remains dedicated to social justice. And thank you for your commitment to address the continued marginalization of women in particular. Thank you also for reminding us as a university that our research must be impactful and must be socially relevant. And thank you for inspiring this group of graduates. As you've heard, our work is far from done. I hope that you will take up the challenge that Ms. Mbeki gave this morning for you to be bold and creative and disruptive as you take up this challenge. Thank you very much. I now request the Dean to introduce to me the candidates present whose names appear in the program.
Madam Vice Principal, the supervisors will now introduce the doctoral candidates.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce you to Sharon Boyce, who has complied with the requirements for the degree of philosophy with a thesis titled The Effect of an Equine-Assisted Positive Psychology Intervention on Flourishing, Meaning and Hope in Under-Resourced South African Context, a Mixed Method Study, which was prepared under my supervision and with Prof. Taruna Gusa as co-supervisor. In this thesis, the candidate investigated the development, implementation, and evaluation of an equine-assisted positive psychological intervention in Deep Sloot, South Africa. Employing a concurrent mixed method design, the study integrated quantitative outcomes from standardized psychometric assessments at 3 time points with qualitative insights acquired through semi-structured interviews. Grounded in the intersection of eco-psychology and existential positive psychology, the thesis found that the intervention enhanced adult flourishing, deepened meaning, and fostered hope despite ongoing adversity. The integration of findings through joint display analysis highlight the limitations of qualitative measures in detecting subtle changes in psychological distress, which were more effectively captured through qualitative analysis. The study broadens the positive psychological interventions by demonstrating that equine-assisted approaches are feasible, culturally adaptable, and effective in enhancing optimal well-being and mental health in under-resourced communities. I wish to add, with your permission, that within months of passing her degree, practitioners from Australia, Brazil, Canada, Denmark, France, and many more, as well as the United States of America, acquired the intervention for use. Currently, the USA is doing a longitudinal study on enhancing the well-being of their war veterans by implementing the intervention. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce to you Stephen Kiria, who has complied to the requirements of the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Psychosocial Predictors of Sexual Risk Behavior among HIV-infected and affected adolescents who live in HIV-affected homes of Uganda, prepared under my supervision. In the thesis, the candidate compared the extent of psychosocial and sexual risk experiences by these adolescents and systematically analyzed the linear and interactive associations, including the pathways among various variables using structural equation modeling. The study found that although adolescents experience considerable rates of psychosocial and sexual risks, those who are infected with HIV are significantly more susceptible. It also found that the psychodemographics factors, community stressors, mainly interact with coping mechanisms via psychosocial distress to predict adolescent sexual risk behavior. The findings support the existing relevant theories and enrich them by clarifying the directions and the pathways in which psychosocial factors interrelate to predicted sexual risk behavior. Recommendations are made for family, school, and community interventions to prevent and mitigate the observed socioeconomic, psychological, sexual, and coping problems, especially among adolescents infected with HIV. Madam Vice Principal, I request that you confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce to you Megan Knutse, who has complied with the requirements for the doctoral degree in philosophy with a thesis titled Hearing Help Seeking, Hearing Aid Uptake and Outcomes in Adults, Barriers, Enablers, and Over-the-Counter Hearing Aids, prepared under my supervision and with Professor Vinaya Manchaya as co-supervisor. In her doctoral thesis, the candidate addresses the global challenge of low hearing aid uptake despite widespread hearing loss. Through 5 interrelated studies, her work investigates help-seeking behavior, hearing aid uptake, and user outcomes. Her research identified key audiological and non-audiological factors influencing help seeking and uptake, with predictors like hearing sensitivity and barriers such as financial constraints. She explored user perspectives, highlighting personal, social, and auditory motivators as key drivers for adoption, alongside affordability and timely intervention as central recommendations. In evaluating self-fitting over-the-counter hearing aids, she uncovered differences in usability and performance across devices. Advocating for consumer empowerment, her work demonstrated that self-adjustment strategies in these devices can enhance satisfaction and engagement. Providing evidence-based strategies for consumers, healthcare providers, and policymakers, her work holds far-reaching implications to improve access to hearing healthcare worldwide. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce to you Eloise Law van Wyk, who has complied with the requirements of the doctorate degree in philosophy with a thesis titled The Effect of Wellness, Coping, and Rapid Transition to Online Learning on University Students' Sense of Academic Competence During the COVID-19 Pandemic, a Mixed Methods Study, prepared under my supervision. In the thesis, the candidate investigated the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the national lockdown, and the rapid move to online learning on students' holistic wellness, coping behavior, and academic competence. The candidate used models of wellness, mental health, and theories of coping to measure the impacts of the pandemic on students' functioning. The findings show the significance of intellectual wellness, positive coping, mental health, and support from institutions of higher learning in students' sense of academic competence, especially during times of uncertainty. The research highlights areas for development in institutions of higher learning to assist in students' development of academic competence. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce to you Bahelo Olivia Malataliana, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled The Development of a Sex Offender Program Targeting Adult Male Sex Offenders in the City Correctional Facilities, prepared under my supervision and with Professor Stefan Geyer as co-supervisor. In her thesis, the candidate examined the needs and risks of convicted adult male sex offenders. To frame the thesis, the candidate used the integrated theory of sexual offending. Following an intervention research strategy embedded in a mixed methods research approach, the candidate unraveled a complex interplay of emotional, psychological, economic, and social cultural factors that influence sex offending. Specifically, these factors included offender illiteracy and the lack of knowledge and awareness of the Sexual Offences Act 3 of 2003, alcohol and drug misuse, anger towards women, behavioral and emotional skills deficits, the influence of media and pornography, social cultural practices, socioeconomic factors, and history of childhood trauma and abuse. The thesis contributes to the sex offender literature in the Global South by developing the prototype New Us Sex Offender Program. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce to you Ngwana Mashiane Rahab Blondie Mutapo, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Development and Evaluation of a Non-Electronic Sepedi Graphic Symbol-Based AAC System for use with pre-literate children, prepared under my supervision and with Professor Gloria Soto as co-supervisor. In her thesis, the candidate developed and evaluated a non-electronic graphic symbol-based system for children from a Sepedi language background who require augmentative and alternative communication. Based on human-centered design, the candidate used a multi-method, community-engaged approach to foreground stakeholder voices in system design. In Phase 1, 21 stakeholders completed a needs analysis and stipulated the design requirements. In Phase 2, adult and child stakeholders were involved in iterative design and development cycles through methods such as experience prototyping and structured interviews. In Phase 3, 3 special school teachers shared their perspectives on the developed system through individual interviews after a 2-week implementation period. The system and process were deemed appropriate and acceptable, suggesting that human-centered design empowers stakeholders and ensures cultural and linguistic congruence in augmentative and alternative communication system design. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce to you Sharon Mpofu, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Challenges and Opportunities for the Integration of Second-Generation Zimbabweans in South Africa, Implications for Social Work, prepared under my supervision and with Dr. Dorothy Holscher as co-supervisor. In her thesis, the candidate explored second-generation migrants' experiences of inclusion or exclusion in South Africa along the political, economic, legal, and social dimensions of their lives. The study also sought to determine if inclusion or exclusion is passed on intergenerationally, how this experience affected their well-being, and the implications of their experiences for social work. An anti-oppressive social work theory framework drawing on concepts of coloniality, misframing, and oppression was used for the study. It was found that based on their identity as Zimbabweans, and despite their attempts to integrate into South Africa, second-generation migrants are mostly considered outsiders by the state and some South African community members. The study recommends that policymakers in education, migration, and social welfare prioritize children's rights and undertake further research in social work and migration, focusing specifically on the children of migrants. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
Stand.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce you to Tsenani Madao, who has complied with the requirements of the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled The Development of an Intervention for Orphans After the Death of a Parent on Duty as Member of the South African Police Service, prepared under my supervision. This thesis, the candidate followed an action research approach to develop a psychosocial group intervention for orphaned adolescents. Based on the principles of cognitive behavior therapy, the intervention consisted of 6 sessions focusing on emotional awareness and expression, skills training, and social support to assist adolescents in grieving and building new relationships. A mixed methods evaluation showed divergent outcomes of the 9 participants. While some orphans experienced increased challenges following the intervention, all showed significant improvement in meaningfulness and self-reliance. The short intervention may not have been sufficient for some orphans to overcome deep emotional, behavioral, and peer problems. The findings highlight the importance of a tailored group intervention for orphans presented over a longer time frame. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce to you Phyllis Ndlovu, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled The Role of Personality, Emotional Intelligence and Spiritual Intelligence Among Leaders in Corporate South Africa. In this thesis, the candidate used a sequential mixed method research design to investigate the combined role of personality, emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence among corporate leaders in South Africa. The study found a strong positive relationship between emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence. This relationship also proved to have a psychoneurophysiological basis. Quantitative results also confirmed that a particular personality profile enabled effective leadership. It was further established that some personality and spiritual intelligence elements could predict emotional intelligence. Qualitative results highlighted attributes of an effective and an excellent leader. Some of these ranged from a leader's intent to make a positive impact and a leader's line of sight between that leader and society and their organizational accomplishment. I also would like to mention that during the study, Phyllis became the embodiment of spiritual intelligence to me. She was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer while working on a study. I didn't see her for some time because she underwent chemo, and one day I got the email, "I'm healthy, I'm back, let's finish this." So we thank God today that she's currently in remission. Sorry, Madam Vice Principal, will you please confer the degree on the candidate?
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Madam Vice-Chancellor, I hereby present Taryn Mariska Reddy, who has complied with the degree Doctor of Philosophy, specializing in audiology, entitled Clinical Utility of Vestibular-Evoked Myogenic Potentials elicited by chirp stimuli, prepared under my supervision. In her thesis, the candidate critically examined the effectiveness of chirp stimuli in eliciting cervical and ocular vestibular-evoked myogenic potentials. The study investigated response rates, waveform characteristics, and test-retest reliability in normal hearing adults, and examined its diagnostic accuracy for superior canal dehiscence syndrome. Using a series of experimental studies, the research demonstrates that 500 Hz narrowband CE chirp-evoked VEMPs elicit higher response rates, shorter latencies, and greater amplitudes compared to broadband CE chirp, tone burst, and click stimuli, establishing its potential as a more reliable clinical tool. The findings contribute to redefining vestibular assessment protocols, enhancing diagnostic precision, and advancing the clinical application of VEMP testing. Madam Vice-Chancellor, I request that you confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congrats.
Madam Vice Principal, I introduce to you Tebogo Zole Molotu, who has compiled with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Understanding the Usability of an mHealth Tool to Support Medication Adherence Schedules in Newly Diagnosed Tuberculosis Patients, a mixed methods research study prepared under my supervision and Professor Marietta Visser as co-supervisor. In her thesis, the candidate investigated the influence of mHealth feedback reminders on TB patients' medication adherence. Technology-driven supportive tools have the potential to improve medication adherence. However, evidence remains minimal. Through TB patient experiences, the barriers to adoption and sustainable use of mHealth technologies were explored. Although mHealth feedback reminders did not increase adherence over time, qualitative findings highlighted that feedback reminders encouraged medication intake and provided companionship in supporting participants' treatment journey. The predictive ability of self-efficacy and stigma on successful treatment outcomes and medication adherence was also explored. mHealth technology, stigma, and self-efficacy predicted successful treatment outcomes once feedback reminders were added. The findings enhance our understanding of mHealth use and TB adherence in a South African context. Madam Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Arts in Research Psychology. Penina Kigunda. Candice Veppener. Specializing in criminology, Anastasia Pelser. Specializing in psychology, Taylor Ponter. Sekelo Shube. Princess Sibanda. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Arts in Audiology. Ruth Averinos, with distinction. Carly Diffenthal, with distinction. Shane Furi, with distinction. Marilet Grobler, with distinction. Selo Manganye. Corlene Mentz. Clarissa Wenzel, with distinction. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Arts in Augmentative and Alternative Communication. Zakia Manak, with distinction. Charmaine Moswatupa. Cindy Melissa Mouton, with distinction. Deshni Naidu, with distinction. Deshni also received the Avaz Inc. Prize for the student with the best research study in MA Augmentative and Alternative Communication. Andisiwe Nkoko, with distinction. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Arts in Clinical Psychology. Helandri Haasbroek. Tyler Reynolds. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Arts in Counseling Psychology. Dylan Benyon, with distinction. Dylan also received the Psychological Society of South Africa Award for the Best Student in Professional Psychology. Kayla Fisachi. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Arts in Research Psychology. Claudine Duplessis with distinction. Claudine was also awarded the Psychological Society of South Africa Award for Best Student in Professional Psychology. Mari Rue with distinction. Kwezilomso Sonkwala. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Arts in Speech Language Pathology. Caitlin Bell. Radia Hussein with distinction. Taylor Ann McCaskill with distinction. Rebecca Vandenberg. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Social Work. Portia Serote. In Healthcare, Lindy Bull with distinction. Leseho Modise. In Social Development and Policy, Ikanyang Baloy. Mamolefi Piri. Patience Tabede. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Social Work in Play Therapy, specializing in play-based intervention. Machupa Bila. Seboke Shai. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Arts Honors, specializing in criminology. Tanika de Grey Birch with distinction. Tanika also received the Studio Sapientia Crescit Floating Trophy for the Best Honors Student in Criminology. Gemma Early with distinction. Ethan Gartside. Nihandri Libba. Lexi McDonald. Natasha Maponga. Ontatile Mwalusi. Ipeleng Modise. Monel Moodley. Dineo Mosolodi with distinction. Masejo Mpela. Amogelang Nkone. Kanisile Ntuli. Faith Nkumalo. Kristen Uilafir with distinction. Boitumelo Sioposengwe. Emma Shuttleworth. Vongai Sibanda with distinction. Veruska Ace. Delise van der Merwe. Martinus van de Westhuizen. Shalisa van Deventer with distinction. Lene van Wyk with distinction. Angelique Vereen. Bianca Vermeulen. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Arts, Honors in Augmentative and Alternative Communication. Pearl Boerta with distinction. Karim Lene with Lene Karim with distinction. Savannah Klee. Anzani Mabunda with distinction. Smangaliso Matenjwa. Nomfundo Mbata. Kaylee Jade Mpangase with distinction. Fanele Sibonge Mtetwa. Ndumiso Mchali. Chiwela Mulondo. Jessica Pretorius with distinction. Jessica also received the Inclusive Solutions Prize for the Best Student in BA Honors Augmentative and Alternative Communication Program. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Social Science Honors, specializing in psychology. Daniel Appelman with distinction. Olivia Barry with distinction. Sohini Basu with distinction. Masia Bayat with distinction. Diane Boyson with distinction. Jenna Buteau with distinction. Rabia Chaya with distinction. Megan Christophers with distinction. Elsa Hansen with distinction. Lesejo Hlokwe with distinction. Kayla Jacobs with distinction. Robin Jordan. Louis Hubert with distinction. Unati Kanti with distinction. Kayla Krier. Bianca Lottering with distinction. Ramohoshlo Mabona. Retumetse Maiketso. Sarah Marzo. Nina McDonald with distinction. Guguletu Mokema. Kemisetsu Mumakwe with distinction. Kirsten Mainhart with distinction. Jan Hendrik Nell with distinction. Mishlali Nobavu. Jessica Peterson. Tafadzwa Pikirai. Nikayla Pillay. Naledi Rapadu with distinction. Moleboheng Sefoloko. Ashley Seymour with distinction. Ashley also received the Van Skyke Publishers Award for the Best Honors Student in Psychology. Kabir Shamsuddin. Lebohang Sidu with distinction. Tahira Solombela with distinction. Haley Spiss. Danica Whelan with distinction. Asenele Zulu with distinction. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Arts in Audiology. Charlize Boss. Kaylee Boyens. Marley Kutsia. Ane Krokamp with distinction. Ane also received several awards. The Susan Swart Prize to the Best Audiology Student Academic, the South African Association of Audiologists Prize to the Best Final Year Student in Practical Audiology, the South African Speech Language Hearing Association Prize to the Best Audiology Student Clinical. Farzeen Ibrahim. Aliyah Hajat. Kiara Joseph. Zainub Kaka. Andanani Mapoli. Tinswalo Matabula. Faith Mbata. Kalsum Noor. Bianca Prinsloo. Akifa Siban. Anka Schnepel. Anume Victor. Susan Jane Fisser. Idaishi Wazara. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Arts in Speech Language Pathology. Zenira Bahadur. Kaylin Bakar. Tatiana de Aguiar with distinction. Amy de Gavea. Danielle Duplessis. Lynette Dutoy with distinction. Amina Ibrahim Tayob. Leah Elsenbrook. Verity Heinsen with distinction. Tabia Kostlin. Gabriella Lang. Claudia Lilia with distinction. Claudia also received several prizes, the Pierre D.V. Pinar Prize to the best final year speech language pathology student with the highest overall average and at least 70% across the 4 years, as well as the South African Speech Language Hearing Association Prize to the best speech language pathology student clinical. Mbali Masekela. Kabuba Masule. Nicole Mlauzi. Palesa Molongwana. Eileen Willefeer. Eileen received the A.B. Clemens Prize to the BA Speech Language Pathology or BA Audiology student in the final year who obtained the highest marks for a research project. Cassidy Shaw. Cassidy also received the A.B. Clemens Prize to the BA Speech Language Pathology or BA Audiology student in the final year who obtained the highest marks for a research project. Shanae Stevens. Isabel Turner. Isabel also received the A.B. Clemens Prize to the BA Speech Language Pathology or BA Audiology student in the final year who obtained the highest marks for a research project. Dandelion Falkenberg, who also received the A.B. Clemens Prize to the BA Speech Language Pathology or BA Audiology student in the final year who obtained the highest marks for a research project. Callan van der Spey, another recipient of the A.B. Clemens Prize to the BA Speech Language Pathology or BA Audiology student in the final year who obtained the highest marks for a research project. Helene Veerasamy. Amanda Fulyun. Julia Wagner. Kyra Wilkie. Madam Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Social Work. Leila Al-Baroudi. Boshlokoa Basin. Bernalisa Basson. Reese Baxendale. Sipumelele Buhali. Kanelane Chauke. Rosemary Chirowodza. Samkelesiwe Chisano. Josephine Chiwara. Bianca Cosway. Jessica Donachie with distinction. Melissa Dorflung. Ariel Duplessis. Michelle House. Rachel Haig. Dominique Jacquet. Zizipo Klawushe. Lungelo Langa. Matibela Leshaba.
Sorry?
First name?
First name, last name.
What's the first name? Pronounce
Mosa.
it. Mosa Letacheng. Amoret Low. Helen Maashlo. Pulani Maake. Nkateko Mabasa. Tatenda Machinda. Koketso Mashlangu. Ntombifuti Mashlangu. Indipile Maki. Tebatso Malachi. Lisedi Malachi. Manapo Malekane. Georgina Maringa. Sharon Matlawa. Mitchell Matsaira with distinction. Nelisiwe Mavimbela. Kyra McDonald. Tondo Mdaka. Joseph Mesa. Lucas Mshlanga. Abby Mitten. Boipelo Moorta. Mashoto Motohuane. Luyanda Msibi. Tatenda Mudiwa. Miralda Mukachane. Tatenda Munemba. More Blessing Musodza. Mufaro Mverecha. Sibusiso Mziako. Nomalanga Ngube. Michelle Ndlovu. Gertrude Ngobeni. Tenele Nchlabati. Norma Nlea. Aluta Nohemane. Mpo Nkubuka. MacDonald Ntuli. Kelly Nyakudia. Lishle Nihirenda. Carlise Potgieter. Pulane Rakwale. Tanisha Ramrabi. Mayuri Ranchard with distinction. Rutendo Rundoho. Palesa Sibeko. Sishle Sibeko. Luisa Similani. Ndalo Singwane. Mbali Shabalala. Malebo Tima. Vuyolwetu Tiapa. Diomone Fansale. Aileen White.
Can I ask all the graduates to please rise? Can we please give them a hand? Thank you. Now, graduates, behind you and around you are your family, your friends, your spouses, your partners. Please turn to them and you give them a hand of applause. But they are not the only people that have supported you on your journey. Behind me are the members of staff that has gotten you to this moment. Please give them a hand of applause. We have now come to the end of the proceedings, but before we close, I wish to present all here for refreshments afterwards in the marquee in front of the Rembrandt Wall. You are requested to stand for the singing of the national anthem and to remain standing until the assembly has been dissolved and the academic procession has left the auditorium. The words of the national anthem will appear on the screens. Please rise. By the powers vested in me, I hereby dissolve this assembly of the University of Pretoria.